In this video, we're going to be working through some exam problems on rational functions. So in each case, definitely pause the video, try it for yourself first, and then watch me work through it if you need. Okay, the curve C has equation x squared plus x minus 1 over x minus 1. Find the equations of the asymptotes. So we can see that the degree of the numerator is bigger than the degree of the denominator. So this is going to have an oblique asymptote, but it's also got a vertical asymptote, which is an easy one to find. It's simply x equals 1. So there's one of them. Now for the oblique asymptote, I just need to do a bit of division. So we know that x squared plus x minus 1 over x minus 1 can be written in the form ax plus b plus c over x minus 1. Okay, what does that give us? Well, if I give a common denominator, it would be ax plus b times x minus 1 plus c. And just comparing numerators, that's going to be the same as the numerator here, identical to it. Expanding this, I get ax squared and then plus bx minus ax minus b plus c. So comparing coefficients, I'm getting x squared must equal 1x squared here. And then I'm also getting b minus a, so that is b minus the 1 I just found, should equal the 1x over here. So b equals 2. Now I actually don't care about c here because it's this bit, the ax plus b bit, that I care about for my oblique asymptote. So I've got that now. It's y equals ax, so 1x, plus b, which is 2. So there are my two asymptotes. Okay, part B. Show there is no point on C for which y is between 1 and 5. Okay, so this is the one where I'm going to use that little trick considering the discriminant of an unusual quadratic. So if I multiply this out, I get xy minus y equals x squared plus x minus 1. Getting everything over onto one side, I've got x squared plus x minus xy plus y minus 1. And grouping this up really neatly, I've got 1x squared. How many x's have I got? Well, it's 1 minus y of them. That's how many x's. And then I've got y minus 1. So there's my a, b, and c. I want to show that there is no point on C for which y is between 1 and 5. So no point on the curve means there's no y value that satisfies this equation for x, meaning the discriminant of this quadratic needs to be negative. Rather, when the discriminant of this quadratic is negative, there is no y value associated with it. So what is the, or no point on the curve where it exists. So what is the discriminant of this? Well, it's b squared minus 4 times 1 times c. And I would like that to be negative. Okay, expanding all of this, we get y squared minus 2y plus 1 minus 4y plus 4 should be less than 0. So y squared minus 6y plus 5 should be less than 0. This factorizes, which is useful, y minus 1, y minus 5. And when is that quadratic less than 0? We'll consider a quadratic, a positive quadratic with roots at 1 and 5 on our unusual y-axis here. And it is less than 0 between 1 and 5. So the solution to this is y is greater than 1 but less than 5. And therefore there is no point on C for which 1 is less than y is less than 5. We've proved that the function does not exist in that region. And we're done with that question. Okay, let's have a go at this one again. Pause and see if you can have a go at this yourself first. So let a be a positive constant. The curve C1 has equation x minus a over x minus 2a. Sketch this. Okay, so when we've been asked to sketch something with an unknown, you basically just pretend that a is 1 or something, just anything positive. Let's have a go at doing that. So, okay, this was going to have a positive vertical asymptote at x equals 2a. Let's go ahead and get some axes on. So I'm just plotting this in my head at a point, let's say 2. But this is x equals 2a. It's also going to have a root when x equals a. And then as x tends to infinity, well, the minus a and the minus 2a become irrelevant. I've got x over x, so that's 1. So I should plot a horizontal asymptote which doesn't confusingly look too much like a. So I guess I'm making a bit bigger than 1 in my head, although it doesn't really matter. Okay, so how are we getting to these places? Well, I have to be tending towards that asymptote. I have to be going down through the y-axis. Oh, when x is 0, we get minus a over 2a, which is a half. That makes sense then. So down from this asymptote, down through there, and down to minus infinity, back from positive infinity, and down to our horizontal asymptote. Let's label it up. It didn't ask us to, but let's just do it anyway. We've got a y equals 1 horizontal, and we've got an x equals 2a vertical. We've also got the coordinate a 0 there, and we've got the coordinate 0, 1, half there. Okay, we're done with part A. The curve C2 has equation, well, that's just our old equation squared, and the curve C3 has equation modulus of our original one. Find the coordinates of any stationary point of C2. Okay, so where are we going to find stationary points? Well, we're probably going to find stationary points. Well, it's not going to be anywhere along here, because anywhere where it's decreasing and positive, it's going to stay decreasing and positive if you square it all. But over here, it's a little bit hard to say. I think we're just going to have to use differentiation. It's 3 marks, so that's probably what we need to do. Okay, so let's find dy by dx. All right, so what's the best way to do this? It's probably with the quotient rule, and it's probably by thinking about it as x minus a squared over x minus 2a squared. So with the quotient rule, we're going to get v u dash. Now when I differentiate this, I just get 2 times x minus a minus u v dash. So u x minus a squared, and then v dash, when I differentiate this, I get 2 x minus 2a, and then all of that over x minus 2a squared squared, so to the power 4. All right, well, I'm going to be setting this to 0. So I can kind of forget about that denominator, except I might just simplify a little bit before I do that, because, well, if I don't, I'll introduce some extra roots up here. So I can see that x minus 2a is a factor of everything. It's only got one factor here, so I'll just divide top and bottom by x minus 2a. So that gives me 2x minus 2a, but just one of them here, and then x minus a, minus 2x minus a, and then squared, and then nothing here. All over x minus 2a cubed, because I've cancelled one of them. So setting that to 0, I can just look when the numerator is 0. And I'll factorise out a 2 and an x minus a for myself. So I've got 2 x minus a, and what does that leave me with? Well, it leaves me with x minus 2a and one of these. So 1 minus x minus a, so minus x plus a. Okay, well, x minus x is 0, so we end up with minus a here. So in total, it's minus 2a x minus a equals 0, and the answer is x equals a. And when x equals a, we're going to have we're going to have y equals 0. So that's our answer there. Now let's just check that actually makes sense, because if I was to go and square this graph, well, we've gone from something which is positive and decreasing to something which, when we square it, is all going to go positive, and that's why we get that turning point there. It goes from decreasing to increasing. Okay, find also the coordinates of any points of intersection of these two graphs. Well, I think I want to do this one pretty much using logic, and here's the logic. When is it the case that squaring something gives you the same result as taking the modulus? Because that's effectively what we've got, right? We've got a function, f of x, and we want to know when are the points where squaring it achieves the same thing as taking the modulus of it. And in fact, we can do that with logic, because there are only 3 numbers that that's true of. F of x can't be 3, because if you square 3, you get 9, and if you take the modulus of 3, you get 3. So I mean, there are many things, infinitely many things it can't be, but there are some numbers where this does work. So one of them is 0, because if f of x is 0, and squaring it you get 0, and the modulus of it is 0. So one option is f of x equals 0. Another number which, when you square it, gives you the same thing as taking the modulus is 1. Right? 1 squared is 1, mod 1 is 1. And the sneaky other one is minus 1, because minus 1 squared is 1, and the modulus of minus 1 is minus 1. So this result will be true, i.e. we'll have an intersection of C2 and C3 when our original function, x minus a of x minus 2a, is either 0, 1, or minus 1. So let's go ahead and find each of those. Solving x minus a over x minus 2a equals 0 just means x minus a is 0, so that's x equals a. And, well, that's when y equals 0. So one coordinate is a, 0. Solving where it equals 1, x minus a over x minus 2a equals 1. Well, that's when x minus a equals x minus 2a. And here we get a contradiction, because the x's cancel, and I get, well, I don't get a solution, right? I just get minus a equals minus 2a, which isn't true unless a is 0, but a is not 0. It's a positive constant. So that one is not true. We just don't get any points from that. The final one, x minus a equals, over x minus 2a equals minus 1. Well, that implies that x minus a equals 2a minus x. And this one does give us solutions. Add x to both sides, we get 2x. Add a to both sides, 3a. So x equals 3 over 2a, and of course y is minus 1. Hold on, except it's not 3 over 2a minus 1, because minus 1 was the value of f of x, not f of x squared or mod f of x, which is positive 1. So not that, it's 3 over 2a, 1. So that's the other coordinate of our point of intersection. Okay, on to part C. Sketch C2 and C3 on the same diagram, clearly identifying each curve, hence find the set of values where the squared version is less than or equal to the mod version. Okay, it'd be very useful to refer back to our original graph, which was this one here. So let's have a little copied version down there. Okay, I need to square and I need to take the mod. I need to do it on the same graph. This is relatively challenging. So let's give ourselves some axes. Let's have a go at the modulus one first. That's a little bit easier, and let's do these in different colours. So let's go with a dark blue for the mod. So for the mod, what are we keeping? Well, we're keeping everything that's positive, and anything that's negative we are flipping. So our asymptote will stay the same. That's at x equals 2a. So that's staying where it is. And our horizontal one is also staying the same at y equals 1. Okay, so down that comes, over that goes. Then all of this bit from the root here is going to stay the same. Because it's positive, it doesn't change. So down that comes through the intercept, down through the root, and down. No, not down. Correcting myself there. It doesn't go down. It abruptly changes direction and up it goes to positive infinity. All right, now we have the challenging job of squaring it. So let's take a different color. This one, well, we'll just remember that the blue is this one here. So blue is our C3. Is C3 the modulus one? Yes. So blue is C3. And I'll show you how to label this up because you're not going to be using bright colors necessarily in your exams. Okay, let's use the red for C2. Okay, so squaring all of these, the tricky thing here is that taking numbers, y values between 0 and 1 and squaring them, they stay as numbers between 0 and 1. So, but look, if you square a number between 0 and 1, it gets smaller. So it's going to stay between 0 and 1, but it will be smaller throughout. In fact, this intercept of 0.5 is going to now be 0.25 because a half squared is a quarter. So it's going to be always below in this region and always heading down, but always below. Now remember that we found out that C2 had a stationary point at x equals a and y equals 0. So this has a stationary point here. So it's heading there, but it's not abrupt. It's a stationary point. It's curving. And then all of these numbers, which are tending towards minus infinity, well, they are going to be now shooting up to positive infinity. For the values that were between 0 and minus 1, when you square those, they go positive, but they go smaller, closer to 0. So it's going to be below our blue graph in this region. But at 1, they're the same. We know they're the same, in fact. And look, we had intersection points at this point here, a0, and then, what was it? 3/2a and 1. So that's this point here. And then for the values where it would have been below minus 1, it's when it would have been bigger than 1, squaring it makes it bigger. So it's heading up to infinity, but it's actually always above the blue one on this side. It's a bit tricky to draw, but it just has to be clearly on that side of it. Over here, it's the same thing. It's bigger than 1, so squaring it makes it bigger. It is still tending towards an asymptote of y equals 1, and 1 squared is still 1, so it's heading down here, always bigger, but tending towards 1. Now, how do we label this up? Well, we basically do it, I mean, you don't have colors necessarily in your exam, so I would basically just be in every region labeling. So I'd be saying it's C2 here and C3 here. In this region, it was C3 below and it was C2 above, but in this region, it's C2 below and C3 above, and then in this region, C3 below and C3 above and C2 below. So just any region where there could be any doubt, label it up super clearly. Finally, we want to find the set of values for which the squared one, which is C2, is below, less than or equal to the mod one, which is our blue one. So it's less than or equal to all the way here, up to that point there. And we found that point in the previous question. It was 3/2a. So it's definitely below when x is less than or equal to 3/2a. And then it's above, 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 and above, above, above forever. So that's the only region. X is less than 3/2a. Okay, hope that's been good working through some exam problems. I'll see you soon.